In 1994, a magical girl anime called Ton de Burin, or Super Pig, as it was translated into English, aired on TBS, based on the manga by the same name written by Taeko Ikeda. Ton de Burin chronicles the story of Kokubu Karin, a 12-year-old elementary school student who receives the gift of becoming a superhero by the name of Burin from an alien named Tonariano III. Burin is a super powerful entity with many different powers and abilities, the only downfall being that, when transformed, she looks like a pig. Her form is frequently mocked by Karin herself and others, making her self-esteem drop whenever she is seen as Burin. That being said, Tonariano III's father, Planet Buringo's King Regent, promises Karin that if she fights evil and helps people at large, he will reward her pearls. When she finally reaches 108, she can then use them to transform into the superhero she so desires to be, her favorite anime superhero, Kyuchi Chao. The only catch, other than, being a pig, is that if Karin's secret comes out and people find out she is Burin, she'll be stuck as her forever, never being able to turn into Karin ever again. Ton de Burin is a parody of the magical girl anime, frequently poking fun at beauty standards, the fact that a regular girl like Karin wouldn't learn how to fight crime and be responsible right away, and how a realistic preteen would approach superhero stardom. The anime goes out of their way making sure the audience knows that our main character is a lovable, courageous, cringe-fail, loser girl by showing us all the facets of her life. It's funny and charming without mentioning how well it aged compared to some other 90s media. If you have modern sensibilities, you're probably not gonna be too offended by this anime. There are some weird things, but it's about like 80% clean. The kids are also never sexualized, apart from one scene of Hidaka that was a bit too well animated, and when one of the characters suggests for her and a boy to go to a more private place, her teacher is shocked because she's only 12 years old. Now, if you have zero modern sensibilities, even better. You're not going to be faced by anything, and honestly, far from me to dictate how you should consume your media. I'm nearly 27 years old and I don't have a Twitter account. Do whatever you want. Anyway, Ton de Burin is a light, fun, sweet watch about love and friendship conquering all. That made me cry at the end. I am man enough to admit that. All that being said, why haven't you heard of it? The thing is that the entirety of Ton de Burin was dubbed into English by Saban Entertainment in the 90s, around the time it was released and became a hit in Japan, but the English dub is considered to be lost media and the anime itself only aired for one day on Fox Kids, never to be seen again. Here in Brazil, it aired more frequently, also on Fox Kids, Jetix, and on Globo, so it is better remembered, as you can see in these 1-minute TikToks and Reddit discussions, but my 90s kid sister herself only ever caught it on TV 2 times, and the Brazilian dub is also considered to be lost media, so she couldn't find any info about it. Until last year, when she came across a Tumblr account by the name of CDA Subs, who specializes in translating obscure anime to Portuguese. When I saw that they translated Ton de Burin, I decided that I was going to undertake the task of subtitling the entire thing to English with permission from them themselves to throw the subs on archive.org so everyone could finally watch this masterpiece. Now, the reason why I haven't been posting videos anymore is because I sort of quit YouTube to focus on other things, but I still decided to come here one more time to talk about what I consider to be a very underrated anime that literally everyone who likes magical girl stuff should know about. In fact, I think it's a crime for this to have been shunned away for so long, so I hope this video performs simply because I want everyone to know about Burin. This is the first and last time I'll ever ask anyone to share a video, like it, etc., because I truly think this anime deserves it. So hi! I'm Saturday Night Pumpkinhead, and I want to talk about Ton de Burin. I'll try to keep spoilers to a minimum because I just want to showcase the show, so don't expect this to be like my other deep dives. I actually want people to watch it. That being said, let's get into the overview. Now, I have to open this section by saying that all technical info on Ton de Burin is primarily found in Japanese. Most English and Portuguese sources state the basic air dates, who the author is, and who produced it. And that's it. By translating the literal Wikipedia article from Japanese to English, the most interesting bit of trivia I found was that the uniform that Karin wears and all the kids' costumes were designed by a children's fashion designer, Koneko Suzuki, who tried to establish Karin's school as a historical one by not adding too many modern details to the uniform itself, forfeiting loafers and choosing one-strap shoes for a more 1960s look. She also made a budget of 15,000 yen for all of Karin's individual costumes, whereas Kuroha Keiko's clothes were all custom made to show to showcase the clear class divide and rivalry between the characters. I mean, I love costume design. I'm a sucker for stuff like this. I feel like what the characters wear is extremely important to their individual selves, so this was super interesting to read. But that being said, you probably realize this isn't much. That's because there doesn't seem to be much info about this anime anywhere at all. A 20-year DVD box special edition did come out in 2015 with a remastered version of the show, but from then on I couldn't find much else. It could also be because I don't even have rudimentary Japanese knowledge. I have zero Japanese knowledge, and I refuse to use AI. I'm pretty sure that anyone who is actually Japanese and actually knows about it can help here, but my poor Brazilian ass unfortunately has zero help on these videos. So all I'm gonna talk about when it comes to the show is the show itself. Now, the anime is 51 episodes long, and it doesn't have a clear season break apart from new weapons added to Burin's technique repertoire. While translating it, I assumed that episode 25 was gonna end on a cliffhanger, but that wasn't the case, so you can watch it as one continuous thing and not be afraid that it will suddenly spring something on you. The animation starts sort of bad, and then they clearly get more budget for it, but it does suffer here and there. Regardless, as a parody of magical girl anime, the story works wonderfully. Cutie Chow, Karin's favorite anime superhero, lovingly mocks the sad, solemn, beautiful magical girls of yonder with a stylish look and tragic backstory. In her case, it's that she's unable to feel love. Karin's fascination with her is also very age-appropriate. She kings Cutie Chow and that's final. She will cosplay her, and if she knew what fanfic was, she would definitely write it. Probably about Cutie Chow and a character in the shape of her classmate and crush, Koichi-kan, getting it on. But in a very child-appropriate way. The jokes here are also actually funny. The characters question the world around them instead of letting things slide, as usual in cartoons, and Karin's lack of regard for other people's safety and general selfishness make the character instead of breaking her and offer a good contrast between beginning Karin and ending Karin, who is a more mature and selfless version of her. Before I go any further, I feel that to add context to my semi-analysis, I must introduce you to the true heart of this anime, the characters, because the truth is that they are the driving force of the thing. Tonde Burin isn't like Sailor Moon. It focuses primarily on its cast instead of its world building. Here, world building is a means to an end. It serves a purpose, even though it is solid throughout. The characters are what fuel the story and bring it forward, especially because a lot of the plot is about Karin's interpersonal relationships and how she navigates being both Burin and Kokubu Karin. Like she has the best of both worlds, except in this case she has like the worst of both worlds. The interesting thing is also that this anime sort of escapes stereotypes a little bit. I mean, I'm not gonna claim to be the anime expert because, truthfully, apart from Erased, Death Note, Sailor Moon, Nichijou, and a few others, I haven't watched much anime before because it's frequently not my thing. But that being said, it's not difficult to understand not only anime stereotypes, but also media stereotypes in general, which means my very pretentious ass was pleasantly surprised by the characters here. Beginning with our protagonist, Kokubu Karin. Karin is strong, daring, caring, and funny, sometimes being more like a boy than a girl. The anime practically opens with a conversation between Karin and her best friend Masami, in which Karin asks her if she thinks she should be more ladylike. Masami then questions why she would want that, saying that Karin has other qualities, those being what attracts Tonariano III, Ton-chan, to her in the first place: her good nature, her happy disposition, and her courage. That being said, Karin is actually the worst choice to be Burin. It is clear to the audience that Ton-chan just wanted to get the job done when he chose her. She is irresponsible, vain, and immature. You know, like a 12-year-old girl. She frequently complains that Burin is ridiculous, doesn't know how to fight, fumbles her assignments, and uses all of her powers to help her own crush and friends instead of people at large. She basically gets no pearls simply because Ton-chan's dad refuses to reward laziness and stupidity. Karin is a huge, though very popular, very regular girl who was given this immense power and is clueless as to what to do with it. She's also no princess, Ton-chan being the next in line to the Buringo throne. So other than the idea of becoming Cutie Chow someday, there really isn't a reward for her here, which she's keenly aware of, even saying that if she had known she could have said no to being Burin, she would have done it in a heartbeat. Moving on to Burin's guardian, Ton-chan, a clear parody of Luna from Sailor Moon, he is portrayed as being, at least in maturity level, Karin's age instead. He acts more like a brother, and the two bicker frequently, despite the fact that he's just as clueless and just as irresponsible as her. He conceals many things that come with being Burin, remembering them only when the worst has come to pass, and frequently gets angry calls from his dad about it. He's also canonically a cheater, I mean, spoilers, but he has a bride in Buringo and he still harbors a crush on Karin's best friend Masami on one of the episodes, wanting to marry her instead. Ton-chan frequently proves himself to be useless unless Karin is really facing danger. He then shows himself to be self-sacrificial and very kind, doing anything to keep her safe, considering he was the one who did this to her. The both of them become like super best friends and form a closer bond as the show goes on, his father urging them to do so because of a bigger world building thing that is a spoiler, so I won't say it here. When Ton-chan is being and nagging to Karin yells at him back and even fights him physically, which helps put him at the same level as her, which in my opinion provides a better dynamic than that of Luna and Usagi. I think it works for the tone the anime was trying to achieve as well, as they were aiming for a less perfect cookie-cutter heroine superhero kind of thing, and going for more of a weird, sort of magical realism one. Not only that, their friendship is really heartwarming. Now, for the rest of the cast, Karin has a group of friends of 7 people who appear on most of the episodes and who are very important to her. These are her best friend Masami Yamakawa, her love interest Mizuno Koichi, her love rival Hidaka Kaoru, her nemesis Kuroha Keiko, her crush's best friend Kashiwagi-kan, her senpai and obsessive boyfriend wannabe Mushano Koji Takuma, and later rival Jimmy Matsumoto. I actually want to talk about Karin's love interest Koichi-kan first and foremost. Now, Koichi-kan is special. He is her classmate and a thoughtful, caring, good-natured boy. He is a star soccer player and has 2 girls interested in him, one of them being the frequently sought-after sweet Kaoru Hidaka and the other one being Karin. He doesn't care about any of that though, because he falls in love with Burin instead. Yes, he falls in love with the pig. Hopelessly, might I add, he literally becomes her biggest fan. He has posters of her on his person at all times. He even becomes best friends with the second and third biggest Burin fans in the world, Karin's own father and younger brother, and the 3 of them talk about Burin frequently. Koichi-kan is also the #1 line between the world and Burin, always calling her when there is a problem, always rooting for her more than anyone else, and frequently embarrassing himself in front of people, defending his love and affection for his one true love. I mean, he is the first anime furry. No woman is good enough for him when Burin is around. He is the main narrative device for the deconstruction of beauty standards, because where everyone else sees wonkiness and ridiculousness, Koichi-kan sees Burin's soul, and her kind heart captivates him. I mean, this is a spoiler, so skip to this timestamp if you don't wanna know, but they literally date on one episode, and the more Karin tries to fend him away from Burin so he would like her instead, the more he falls for her. He doesn't care if she eats too much, if she's loud, if she's a delinquent, he just loves her. He's a nice guy, someone everyone loves and can count on. He also has a very close friendship with his best friend Kashiwagi-kan, and the 2 frequently cry, hold hands, and hug each other without any shame. To be completely fair, he does have some 90s anime boy hang-ups, especially on the aforementioned episode, but it is to be expected, and honestly, nothing that personally ruined my experience of his character, especially towards the end of the show. I love Koichi-kan. Now moving on to the second most important person to Karin, Masami-chan, her best friend. Because Masami is sort of a run-of-the-mill, though sweet and intelligent best friend in the shape of Amy from Sailor Moon, there's not much to tell about her other than I think she has a crush on Karin. Okay, hear me out. For starters, Masami is the only one who notices when Karin is gone, frequently asking where she is when she turns into Burin. She is also always asking how she is and telling her uplifting things that are very insightful about her personality, accepting her just as she is. Apart from a headcanon, Masami is headstrong, intelligent, curious, and kind. A contrast to Karin, who is unambitious, impulsive, and physically strong, though a failure athletically. Anyway, like I said, there's not much else about Masami. She's awesome, but she's just kind of like there. So, I would like to talk about Karin's second romantic interest, though not really because she doesn't care about him, Mushano Koji Takuma Senpai. When Takuma Senpai is introduced as the classic senpai. He's rich, he studied in England, he's good at tennis, he has hordes of fans, and he is not interested in anyone seriously until Karin ignores him.
ボール取ってもらえる？この笑顔に大抵の女の子は釘付け。
ボールですか？ボール。
僕の笑顔を無視できる女の子がいるなんて。僕もまだまだ甘いな。
Basic stuff. That being said, as most everything else in this anime, the subversion of the genre here is that as time progresses and Takuma-senpai's stalking reaches dangerous levels, it is shown that he grows to actually like her, frequently humiliating himself in his tireless quest to conquer his Koneko-chan's heart. Can't believe I just said that. Takuma-senpai is also extremely ridiculous. Instead of being the mysterious, alluring type he and all his fans think he is. He'll wear costumes, he'll dance, he'll sing, he'll give incredibly exaggerated and obnoxious declarations of love on treetops and boats and stages. I mean, you never know what he'll do next. He is a legend of entertainment. He also has a very complicated family history, and unfortunately the explanation as to why he likes cutting is sort of gross in a very 90s Japanese, this is supposed to be romantic even though it is not way. But I admit that it didn't stop me rooting for him because he's like so into her and she's so not that I sort of end up feeling sorry for him. Takuma-senpai is also just some guy in a lot of ways. He's not brave, he's not a fighter, he's kind of a pussy, and he only gets better as the anime goes on. Something else that helps his character is also the incessant stalking and sometimes kidnapping inflicted on him by Karin's general nemesis Kuroha Keiko, who's obsessed with the idea of making him her boyfriend instead. Now, Kuroha Keiko is also special. She is the other rich one. Beautiful and elitist, Kuroha is absolutely in love with Takuma-senpai, knowing they're destined to be together because they're the richest and prettiest couple in school, so she wants Karin gone and Takuma-senpai's obsession with her obliterated. Kuroha goes overboard with absolutely everything she does. She is obnoxious, she is theatrical, and she chases Takuma-senpai as much as he chases Karin. The subversion of her character is that Kuroha is also ambitious, hardworking, and extremely generous, giving everyone everything she owns and never skimping on money and charity, helping others in a very Kuroha way whenever she can. She genuinely worries about her friends, though she doesn't show it, and she has an ironclad will. I mean, this is a spoiler, so here's the skip again, but Kuroha manages to fight off a demon who possessed her body just by yelling at it to leave her alone. I mean, she's awesome. The thing about her is also that on many occasions it is made clear that Kuroha would have been the perfect choice for booting instead of cutting, and if Ton-chan had waited just a little longer, he would have found her instead. I mean, the job would have been done in 2 weeks instead of a year, but he wouldn't have been as close to her, I don't think. Anyway, I love Kuroha even though she's supposed to be Karin's rival, because this anime doesn't actually have villains and rivals, if that makes sense. It has people. Originally, no one in class likes Kuroha too much and everyone wants her gone, which also helps you root for her a little more. It's clear that she's trying to overcompensate for her peers' rejection of her by being obnoxious and rich and overspending. In fact, in a very late stage episode of the show, we are given a glimpse into her not so great personal life, and it's heartbreaking to see it. I actually wanted to make this video in part because of Kuroha's character, because I'm sure she would be misunderstood. I believe she's a girl who was forced to grow up too soon with barely any help, who's desperately trying to connect to others around her in the only way she knows how, and the only way her family connected to her, using her wealth and power, when literally everyone around her just wants her to chill out and hang out. She's a good contrast to Karin as well, because Karin connects to others effortlessly, whereas she struggles. They are basically polar opposites. Kuroha is a classic nemesis character, but because she has so many virtues as well, the stereotypical version of her is squashed, and this makes her a little more unique than usual. She doesn't have to learn to become a better person, she has to learn how to connect with others instead. All the other characters can be spoken of quickly. Hidaka, Karin's romantic rival, is actually good-natured, kind, and perceptive. She also wants to be best friends with both Karin and Masami, but is frequently too shy to ask, being too sweet to impose in any way. She is talented in all things feminine, but wishes she could be a little more like Karin instead, whereas Karin wishes she could be more like her. Classic situation. Hidaka is also easily scared and prone to passing out, but can be surprisingly strong. One of the scenes between her and Budding made me cry as well, so there. Jimmy Matsumoto is the nerd, but he's a film nerd, and the kids meet him when his cinema club is falling apart and he is trying to kill himself. Equally perceptive, he is initially another comic relief character, but is soon revealed that he is smarter than you think. He is dramatic, melancholic, clumsy, and artistic, which removes him from being too much of a geeky anime stereotype. Kashiwagi-kun, Mizuno-kun's best friend, is the fun-loving, careless friend who frequently says what he means, but is kind. He likes poking fun at people, but never takes it too far. He does make a lot of fun of Koichi-kun when it comes to Budding, though. He is silly, goofy, and lovable, even though he can be obnoxious. He is also just there, but he is very important. He adds to the ecosystem of the group. And last but not least, her, Budding. Budding is considered to be another character for the majority of the anime, because she is a mythical figure, but many fall for her charm and take her as an inspiration, saying that if someone that stupid can do it, so can they. She slowly becomes a beloved figure despite her appearance, because she is always there for everyone. Also, yes, she is extremely cute. She's like the cutest thing in the world. People are just stupid. I mean, look at her. I'd love to own a Budding plushie. I also like the idea of a place in which beauty standards don't apply to flying superhero pigs. Budding is a gift that keeps on giving. Ton-chan and his dad end the first episode of the show with the insistence that she is the most beautiful being in the galaxy, making the moral of the story clear. They tell Karin that there isn't a more beautiful form than that of Budding's when she expresses disgust in becoming her. Karin wants nothing more than to be feminine, cool, tragic, and mysterious, but her own brother, father, and romantic interest all think Cutie Chow is sort of stupid compared to Budding, and that Budding is always superior because she is a real hero, while Cutie Chow is a fake standard to be met. It's a really interesting take on the genre and on body image in general. Budding overeats, but she also overloves. She is strong and passionate. She will stop at nothing to help others, and she looks like that while doing it. She's like the best character of television, I think. Anyway, that's our main cast of characters. Other frequent players include Ton-chan's dad, King of Buringo, who shows up to lecture Ton-chan and Karin, speaking from the Tom Pact straight from his home planet. He's stingy with pearls, he's hard on Karin and Ton-chan, and his descent into madness for having two incompetent idiots at the job is priceless. Arashiyama-sensei, Karin's teacher, is a lovable goof in love with Nanako-sensei. He shows up on many of the episodes and is very close to the kids in an absolutely appropriate way, though he does get invited to Karin's house for dinner and they all see her room in one episode, and that is weirdly relevant to the episode, like everyone goes to Karin's house and everyone needs to see her room. I don't know, moving on. Kondo-sensei is another teacher with an unsettling obsession for Cutie Chow, the only other person who likes her apart from Karin, basically. Nanako-sensei is the kind nurse who looks a lot like Cutie Chow herself. It is unclear if she has played Cutie Chow in any capacity. She is not the real Cutie Chow because Cutie Chow is not real, but her resemblance is still striking. There's no reason for that. It's just the way it is. Moving on, we have Karin's father, the lead newspaper reporter on all things Budding, who is obsessed with Budding himself, but again in a very platonic way. The show makes it very clear that Mizuno-kun is the only person in the world who would ever fall in love with Budding. We then have Karin's little brother, Shuei, Budding's second biggest fan, also obsessed with her in a very platonic way, as pointed out in one episode, who will fight anyone who talks shit about Budding. Then last but not least, Karin's mom, a children's clothing fashion designer who is a little wacky herself. These are our characters. Because like I said, Stone Budding is more of a slice of life with magical girl aspects anime than an actual super detailed, bona fide magical girl anime with deep lore, they are super important. It doesn't mean that the story behind Stone Budding isn't interesting, but it is played for laughs instead of gasps, at least for most of the way until the end. I digress though. Because it is not supposed to be super magical girly though, this anime does show our valiant warrior as just a person, Budding being clearly separated from Karin when she transforms. Karin's journey as Budding is a self-discovery one. It's also pretty awesome because it has a love triangle between the main character, her love interest, and herself as a pig superhero. This is unmatched. This has never been done before, has never been done since. It was considered something so radical, so absolutely bonkers, that Fox Kids burned the tapes with the original dub to kill the spirit of Tonde Budding, but I am here to make sure it is alive forever. This is my mission on Earth. Now, for the translation itself. Because I don't watch anime, I'm pretty sure I committed crimes that no other anime translator ever committed, so I apologize for that. Translating this also showcased my frequently weird usage of English, making it more polished than usual, and it was something I tried to correct as much as possible in the revisions. It took me around 3 months to get from point A to point B, but I finally managed to do it even with life getting in the way. Translating it was odd, because I was translating from a secondary language without knowledge of the first, so I couldn't actually check if this translation was the Icelandic translation of Tonleburing, and frequently thought about the implications of not knowing what I'm doing in that regard. With that, I like to say that anyone who wants to take these and polish them, feel free to do so, because they don't belong to me. So someone with a better knowledge of Japanese, and maybe a native knowledge of English, feel free to tweak these subtitles as much as you want and post them like a better version of them. But as it is, this is it. I came, I saw, I translated. I hopefully made you interested in it too. Now, I unfortunately can't make the original anime available with my subtitles, but I also can't control what others do, and I definitely don't control the fact the CDA Subs has all of the episodes in their internet.org subtitle archive without the subtitles on it, and the link to that is definitely not on the description and definitely not right underneath the one with the subtitles in English for you to peruse at your own leisure. I mean, I used their subtitles to translate the whole thing. I'd be very remiss not to add a link to them in the description with a link to their blog so you can find other works by them. So this is it. This is different from my other videos because I genuinely want you to give this a shot yourself and then maybe make your own YouTube video about it, spread the word of Booting to all nations, as Booting is now my new god, and I hope I can make her your new one as well. I've been Saturday Night Pumpkinhead. I might see you again if I find more obscure media I like and feel deserve to be highlighted, but I also might not. I hope you liked this regardless. Bye!